So I'm just going to chop it. All right, here goes nothing. Hi friends, do you want to lower your blood sugar, cholesterol, weight, have younger looking skin, better gut health, epic bowel movements, improve your memory, immunity, endurance, and your mental health? Then you really need to do what many carnivore advocates are recently discovering, adding fruit to the diet.
So you eat like a full watermelon a day?
I probably end up drinking the juice of a full watermelon a day.
Wow.
Cheers, bro.
Cheers to a good day.
Welcome to Costa Rica.
Thank you.
But it's not just any fruit. You may prefer Cavendish bananas or dessert bananas. I love them too, but they're not really full of antioxidant power. In fact, it's been shown that bananas can even reduce the antioxidant power of other foods. So it's not a fruit I add to anti-inflammatory smoothies. Now, I consider myself to be an expert in delicious fruits because I've eaten tree-ripened and vine-ripened fresh fruits my entire life. My parents, they weren't rich. In fact, they were struggling immigrants, which forced them to be very creative and resourceful. Luckily for me, they love gardening, making their own organic compost, and recycling our dishwater. At the time, I just thought my dad was really frugal. Gardening turns out to be a longevity lifestyle. And in fact, if you're an avid gardener, you're probably going to outlive those who don't garden. Unfortunately, I don't garden. I have a problem with watering things. I just never get to it. But I do enjoy eating garden fresh produce. And two of my favorites are jackfruit and watermelon. I have here my jackfruit that we prepared. In the past, I was really intimidated to buy giant fruits because they're so heavy. But then I realized instead of paying a monthly gym membership, which I never find time to use, I'll just buy groceries and lug and carry food home, just like the people who live in longevity blue zone countries. I'll be the first to admit I don't enjoy going to the gym, just like I don't enjoy gardening. But I enjoy hunting and finding great produce. And that is my bi-weekly anaerobic workout. I park my car to the furthest reasonable point, or I just walk from my house. I often skip the shopping cart unless I know I'm going to be buying a ton of heavy stuff like jackfruit and watermelon. If you think about it, millions of people around the world, they simply harvest, clean, cook, and eat food. I watch my parents do just that. My simple-minded, young, adult, impatient brain just thought, what a hassle. But that's how people incorporate productive exercise to stay strong, lean, and fit throughout their entire lives. And honestly, I used to walk around my neighborhood and feel like it's such a waste of time just walking around the neighborhood. So unproductive. So now I walk to run errands, but I'm not quite able to walk to get a jackfruit. A single jackfruit can weigh 50 pounds. So eating good jackfruit is not only a workout for your muscles to bring home, but it also takes a bit of muscle to prepare the fruit, and your body still gets a workout after you eat it. Your intestines and your gut microbiome, they're getting their digestive workout, and that in turn reduces your inflammation in your body. Now, jackfruit is my son's favorite fruit and reminds me every week to go to the Asian market. And we have this deal. If I buy jackfruit, he'll cut it and happily harvest the pods, which is a big deal because my kids, they never volunteer to wash and prepare any other produce. So I'm just going to chop it. All right, here goes nothing. Oh, okay, this is a lot softer than my last jackfruit. The last one didn't go very well. Okay, this is definitely softer. I can smell the fruit. Lots of times they sell this in a can. Okay, so let me see if I can, I'm just going to soften it before I peel it open. Okay. All right, I don't think I can peel it open. I think this is still, okay, maybe I can. Okay, I can't. So I have to cut this some more. And I'll show you what it looks like inside. It's quite a very interesting workout here to get to some delicious fruit. All right. I'll probably need some help in a little bit, but I'm gonna give it my best shot until this is, I can't do it. Requires definitely more work than I'm willing to give it. So that's why I don't buy this fruit very often. Sometimes in the supermarket, they sell it cut for us. Doing it on this table because it's really sappy. It makes a mess everywhere. And I don't have enough space to like take care of this. Yeah. All right. I'm almost there. I can feel it give. All right. Okay, I think this is it. Okay, maybe this isn't it yet. I think the center is like the most fibrous, and that's why I'm struggling a bit. Oh, here we go. Okay, there's the core. All right. So this is what it looks like right here. This is a prize, the yellow part, the really, really, so these are the seeds. You can boil these and eat them as well. And then this is the yellow part. Right here is the fruit. Let me try to dig a pod out to show you. Okay, here we go. Looks like that. So this whole fruit is going to be filled with these pods that you take out. Basically, I'm going to take it out, rinse it, and eat it. You can apparently eat it from the fruit, but since I'm not the only one that's going to eat this, I don't want to contaminate all the food. Okay, here's like a really nice pod. So this part, the shredded part of the jackfruit, like the yellow part, the fibrous part, people can stir fry this. They sell this stuff in the can, and you can stir fry it down, and it has like a meaty texture. I mean, it doesn't really have a lot of protein, but it has a meaty texture. It has a really good texture. So sometimes people make it for like shredded, vegetarians use it for like shredded meats. So, all right, let me see. Let me see if I can get a few more pods. There we go. There's a big giant one right here. So you take all this fibrous stuff off. I think these are like 2 pods. You take all the fibrous stuff off, and this is what you eat. This fruit right here. And it's really sweet. It's chewy. Like, it has a very unique texture. I don't know anything else it's almost like a fruit leather chewiness, but without the stickiness. And so these are the pods that we're going to dig out from this gigantic jackfruit. It's going to take me a little while. So here's some jackfruit that we've frozen. If you've never tried jackfruit and afraid to buy an entire 30-pounder, no worries. Supermarkets often have prepared jackfruit pod packets, just like they have pre-cut watermelons. These are my frozen jackfruits. And to me, jackfruit is a culinary treat, but it's actually a staple food for those from South Asia. This ancient fruit has been incorporated into delicious savory and sweet dishes since 4th century BC. So in Asia, they eat jackfruit like we eat apples in America, except jackfruit is not as easy to harvest and prepare like an apple. But for the amount of fruit you get, it's pretty reasonably priced. Now, if you want sweet jackfruit, you need to learn to recognize signs of ripeness. Today, I have here a jackfruit that I just bought from the store. I think it probably weighs like 30 pounds and probably a little bit more. So the jackfruit is a tropical fruit. It's a great source of potassium. It's sweet, it's delicious, and it's also a good source of fiber. And I'm going to try to open this. This is really hard to open. So as you can see, this is a gigantic tropical fruit, and they have little pods inside, and that's what we want to eat. Apparently the rinds is also edible, not this outer part, but the inner part. And there's a lot of vegetarian dishes made from the rind. But so I'm going to attempt to open it. I'm not quite sure I'll be able to finish it because it's it's a very hard, viscous, tough, fibrous fruit to open. So the way I picked it was I tried to get the yellowest jackfruit from the store. I bought this from my local Asian supermarket. It's called a 99 Ranch. So I just went there to buy this. They had a bunch of jackfruits and I just picked one that was on the yellowish side. Now, the last time I opened one, it was green, very hard. I couldn't get my knife through to open it, and so it got stuck. Apparently, when it's ripe, it's supposed to be soft enough so it's kind of squishy. So this one is kind of ripe because I can feel it squishing down. When it's really hard, it's not squishable. And see, on the back, it's green. So I'm not quite sure how this is going to go, but I do know in the front, this is soft enough, and my kids are dying to open this. So we took this outside to scrub it. We had a brush to scrub this with a hose. So let's see what happens. Okay. But if you accidentally cut into an unripened jackfruit, no worries. The unripened fruit makes a great salad and it'll be a better workout for you to harvest. Now here is a trick my sister-in-law taught me to find a ripened jackfruit. You feel the spines on the outside, and if it's not prickly, then that's a sign of ripeness. And I'll be honest with you, it's no small feat to open up a jackfruit. It's heavy, it's fibrous, and it's sticky. This jackfruit that I'm pushing out of the store was so heavy that the cashier, they couldn't weigh it because their balance was maximum 30 pounds. And I had to lug it from the jackfruit bin onto the cart, out of the cart, onto the conveyor belt, and then back onto the cart to push it and put it in my trunk. The supermarket ladies, they actually were kind enough to offer to help me, and they were trying to figure out how the two of them could lug this jackfruit. But they just looked kind of, like they weren't used to lifting weights. So I figured I'd just do it myself. And it sounds cumbersome and tedious, but that's actually the easy part. The hard part is harvesting or getting the pods out from the jackfruit. This is what we want in the jackfruit because this is like the delicious dessert-like fruit that you get from opening up that giant fruit. But the fruit is so fibrous and so sticky that there is a trick to opening it. This jackfruit is frozen, and if you've ever had a frozen jackfruit, you know that it's worth the effort. Now, jackfruits are hard to cut because it has a ton of fiber. It's like chopping down a tree trunk. It's not easy to do. Now, I'm always looking for whole foods that are rich in fiber, both soluble and insoluble fiber. And if you're eating whole foods, you really don't have to worry about the ratio of soluble and insoluble fibers because God has that covered. He makes everything perfect. But when you're eating processed foods, then you should be concerned about the fiber content because many processed foods have eliminated the fiber to manipulate the texture to make foods softer or crunchier, or they add more individual fibers, again, to manipulate the texture, like in breads. Have you ever tried a fiber supplement? It costs like $30, and I find that odd that people would rather spend $30 for a little bottle of fiber that weighs 1.4 pounds instead of spending $30 on a jackfruit, or if you're lucky, $15 on a jackfruit that weighs over 30 pounds. Now that jackfruit, it to me is a tastier bargain, and you can actually eat all of the fruit. But believe it or not, I don't eat jackfruit because of its fiber. It's just a side benefit. I eat jackfruit because it's an excellent source of potassium, which is missing in the diet of 99% of Americans. Potassium is a vital electrolyte that is important for nerve and muscle communication. Notice that these jackfruit pods are yellow. That yellow color is from carotenoids, which are antioxidants important for your immune, skin, eye health, because it gets converted to vitamin A. And many of you have commented that I have healthy looking skin. And that's not by accident. I've always eaten a ton of a variety of fruits since I was a child. And I've had epic bowel movements to get rid of toxins since I was a child because I eat so much fruit. It wasn't always like that. I remember being constipated twice as a child. It felt so bad that my dad had to percuss my back to relieve the discomfort in my stomach. And I figured out that if I just keep eating fruit, I will never have that feeling. And that's why I eat a ton of fruit. But I don't just eat any fruit. I gravitate towards colorful, brilliant, red, orange, yellow fruits that happen to be rich in fiber, rich in vitamin C, and rich in carotenoids. Now, if you follow dermatologists and online skin influencers who try to get you to buy creams and lotions, they're always talking about retinol and how that's the product to get. Retinol is a $1.3 billion global market. The legitimate dermatologists, they'll tell you about the side effects of retinol: stinging, burning, itching, peeling. And there's so many different types of retinol products, including retinol. Honestly, it's dizzy, but it does help with reducing acne and wrinkles by irritating the skin to promote the shedding of old damaged cells and stimulating the production of new healthy cells. It does also enhance collagen to improve skin texture and firmness. In essence, it's a form of chemical peeling. Personally, I would rather not irritate my skin cells. And frankly, I don't have the interest or the time to put a bunch of stuff on my skin. I stimulate collagen production through the foods that I eat. I'm all about efficiency. I want to do one thing to address multiple health benefits. I don't want to have to spend all day worrying about a routine for my skin and my hair, etc. I want to just eat, and I want it all to nourish my health. So when I eat, I target foods that meet multiple different goals, including getting plenty of fiber, vitamin C, and vitamin A. So my choices are centered around whole foods rich in fiber, vitamin C, and vitamin A. And obviously, I need to eat other nutrients. But if it has those key ingredients, then I know I'm going to help my skin maintain a healthy, younger look, increase my collagen. It'll help maintain my weight. It'll nourish my body and improve my immunity. It'll improve my cognitive abilities and reduce my inflammation. So when I eat well, I know I'm not just helping my skin to look younger, but I'm actually making my body younger. And there's really no point to look good when you're admitted to the hospital. And that's a shortfall of topical solutions. You still need the equipment to make collagen, which is essential for your entire body, not just for skin. Collagen literally holds your blood vessels together and your muscles together. And this way, you don't spontaneously bleed and fall apart. So the little lotions that you put on your skin, it's not going to reach the thousands of miles of blood vessels that are essential for your health. And unfortunately, 40% of Americans, they don't even meet the daily recommended intake of vitamin C in their food. 25% of the US population, though, they are using retinol products and they're spending $1,700 a year for topical solutions. It's not cheap. Imagine how much vitamin C, fiber, and vitamin A rich foods that you can buy with $1,700 a year. With that kind of money, I can eat a lot of jackfruit, as well as other giant fruits like watermelon and other specialty fruits. Now, you may be afraid to eat jackfruit or any fruit because it is sweet. And people often treat sweet fruit as if it was as bad as sugar. It's really opposite of how we handle money and germs. We avoid shaking hands to stay clean, but we never hesitate to handle money, even though it's covered with germs. Now, we all know that money is important despite the germs. And I've always known that eating fruit is important despite the fact that it has a little bit of sugar. And that's why in the beginning, I was really shocked to find that people kept blaming fruit for their high blood sugars when they didn't eat it. And they put it in the same category as refined sugar. And then it dawned on me that people simply believed all foods that taste sweet are bad. And this is where the public has confused processed fruits with added sugar and whole unprocessed natural fruits. This also confused my mom. My mom used to buy apple pies because she thought that was healthy. They had apples. But in reality, no amount of good food will make up for the abundance of bad ingredients. So if you ate the apple before it drowned in butter and sugar, then that's actually good for you. But once you add the butter and sugar and then you add heat, that's no longer an apple. That's processed food designed to hijack your taste buds and make you gain weight and crave for more of that processed foods. It can elevate your cholesterol as well as your blood sugars. Now, I challenge you to eat whole fresh apples and gain weight. You're not going to be able to do it because the more apples you eat, the more weight you will lose. And this is because an apple is a low calorie food. It's high in water. It's high in fiber. It's high in nutrient density. And by eating apples, you will fill yourself up and not have room for the caloric foods that actually are responsible for weight gain. But eating a raw apple is not the same as eating applesauce, especially when it's sweetened, or drinking apple juice, or eating apple chips, or snacks and desserts made out of pieces of apples. Have you ever wondered why the top longevity countries are in Asia? One reason is because at the end of every meal, Asians eat fresh fruit as dessert and not manipulate fruit into a dessert. So if you have to read the ingredients and see that it has the word apple in it, then you should really question whether or not that food should be eaten and is healthy. There is no ingredient label when you buy real whole food. Now, jackfruit is a delicious dessert to have by itself or frozen like this and then eaten. Despite its sweetness, jackfruit is relatively low in calories, even compared to other tropical fruits. It is a natural, guilt-free dessert for me because when I eat jackfruits, I know I'm eating essential nutrients, including vitamins such as vitamin C and vitamin A in the form of carotenoids. There are B complex vitamins like folate, niacin, and riboflavin. There are minerals such as potassium, magnesium, calcium, and iron, and antioxidants like the flavonoids, phytonutrients, and phenolic compounds, which help neutralize bad free radicals and oxidative stress to help keep me looking younger and actually be younger. Now, unlike milkshakes, cookies, candies, ice cream, the sugar and nutrients in jackfruit, they're trapped in both soluble and insoluble intact fiber, which promotes my digestive health. It aids in my bowel regularity, and it helps to lower cholesterol levels if I eat enough of it. Now, this is a key with fruits that are high in fiber, which help to buffer the metabolic shock of eating food. Eating is actually stressful for the body, even if you're eating healthy ingredients. Hence, those with insulin resistance or high blood sugars will often find that their blood sugars improve if they eat enough fruit as opposed to eating fruit-flavored processed foods like an apple pie or strawberry preserves. Real, whole, unadulterated fruits will slow the rate of nutrient release to allow your body time to acclimate to the surges of nutrients that are entering into your blood. And this is why chewing longer is great for weight control. Foods that are harder to absorb, like fibrous fruits, are not only healthy for you to eat, but they also serve as an excellent nutrient for your gut microbiome. And your gut microbiome, that's your largest immune organ. That in turn can make anti-inflammatory short-chain fatty acids to help lower inflammation, lower cholesterol, and get your bowels moving so that you have regular bowel movements. So this is how you eat a jackfruit, right? These are the little pods. So I'm going to open the pod. I'm going to show you a seed inside. All right. So here's the seed, right? The seed is actually edible. And you just have to boil it and cook it, soften it up to eat. It's a really high protein and fiber seed. And so I basically just want to eat the pod, and you could tear it up in strips, right? Like so. And then you just eat it. It's really good. Now, people from longevity nations, they don't just eat fruit. They actually walk all the time. And once I walked to my local grocery store, which is about a mile and a half away, to buy soy milk. But at the store, they had watermelon on sale for $7, and it probably weighed like 15 to 20 pounds. If you bought 15 pounds of chicken, that would cost you over $100. So $7 is a bargain for that much food. I mean, even if you bought 15 pounds of water, that would be more expensive than $7. A small serving of pre-cut watermelon can be $7. So to me, an entire watermelon is a bargain. So I picked the sweetest, largest, juiciest watermelon, and I carry that thing home in my backpack. I used to shy away from buying large fruits because I actually didn't value the workout. Now I realize if I don't practice carrying food, I don't get my workout. I don't get my weight training. And I'm at the age where I am actively losing muscle mass unless I actively work to replace it. So every week, I'm either lugging a watermelon, jackfruit, or gallons of water in my backpack. My brother, he gave me the idea because he walks with 2 to 3 gallons of water in his backpack. His mother-in-law walks up and down the stairs lugging gallons of water in her hands. Personally, I would rather lug something tasty like a watermelon, but I don't enjoy an unripened watermelon. Unlike jackfruit, watermelon is mostly water, and to me, it is the best natural drinking water. But if you're going to buy a 15 to 30 pound plus fruit, in my opinion, it better taste good. Now, I'm not a farmer. I'm not even a gardener, but I am a professional fruit eater. And wherever I travel, I always look for the best local fruits to eat. My favorite part of traveling is to find a farmer's market to buy local fruits. But unlike stone fruits, watermelons, they taste pretty good from the supermarkets if you know how to pick them. But I know I'm not special because watermelons are eaten by the billions of pounds every year. I just simply enjoy them as dessert like many ancient Egyptians over 5,000 years ago, as proven by the discovery of watermelon seeds in ancient Egyptian tombs. Now, I bought some picnic watermelons and one of them is seeded. So between these two, do you know which one is seeded? It's hard to find because we just basically have one kind of watermelon in the supermarket, but there's actually over 1,200 varieties around the world. And today, the most common variety is the seedless red round watermelon. But sometimes if you're lucky, you'll find a high fiber seeded red watermelon or a specialty yellow watermelon. You know, when I grew up, watermelons were always seeded and I found that the seeds were a nuisance and I would just spit them out. Apparently, 75 feet and 2 inches holds the world record for watermelon seed spitting. But the seeds are actually edible and they're highly nutritious. They're full of polyunsaturated fats, magnesium, iron, zinc, B vitamins, antioxidants, and fiber. So now I purposely eat them. But there is one thing that I can't stand, a milly dry watermelon. I feel literally cheated because this is my all-time favorite food. Plus, it takes effort for me to pick out the watermelon, carry it in my cart, and then bring it in the house. Luckily, cutting it isn't so difficult. Now, if you are living by yourself and unable to lift these wonderful giant fruits on your own, no worries. Either buy one cut up, buy a mini watermelon, or call your local church and ask them if they have members who want a splitted watermelon. That's a great way to meet new friends and share one of nature's sweetest fruits. Watermelons in my family, they don't last more than 2 days because I actually can eat half of it by myself in one sitting. It's my comfort food. And on the first day of internship, I bought a giant tub of watermelon and ate that during the entire orientation. My roommate was really shocked that I could eat so much watermelon. You know, I often find round and red watermelons in the supermarket, but if you travel around the world, you'll find pink, orange, yellow, square watermelons. The first time I ever saw a yellow watermelon was when I went back to Taiwan and my aunt cut one open. And if you've ever visited Japan, you may be able to find a square watermelon. Apparently, they sell them for $100. I love watermelon, but I'm not sure I'm willing to pay that much. But in general, watermelon is a low-calorie food, 45 calories in a cup. And I actually bought 3 watermelons for this video, but my son got to one of them before I could film. Now, when I shop for watermelon, I apply 5 rules to almost guarantee a sweet, juicy find. So hold up your hand and you have 5 fingers and a big giant spot. This is my 5S rule, and I look for a watermelon in this order. 5S stands for spot, solid, size, symmetry, stem and skin, and sound. I'm basically doing a physical exam on watermelons, and I look for the spot first. And the spot is not yellow, I'm not going to buy it. I have been stuck with really bad watermelons before. Now, this spot is called the ground or field spot. It should be yellow like the sun. That tells you how long your watermelon has been out in the sun. Usually, the flatter, creamier, yellower, and gold in the field spot is, the sweeter your watermelon. So I avoid watermelons that are missing a field spot or that have a white or greenish field spot. That to me says it's underripened. I also avoid pale watermelons. Watermelons become pale when they don't see enough sun, just like people. So I'm looking for a watermelon that's been in the sun, in a sense, sunburned. It's been in the sun so long that it's a rich green watermelon and it's red inside. Now, the green part is due to photosynthesis. Now, the rind is actually edible and very nutritious. It's a great source of fiber. And that's why the watermelon doesn't fall apart like a giant water balloon. There's also vitamin C and potassium, which most Americans actually don't eat enough of in their diets. But believe it or not, you can also find protein in the rind. But what's really special about the watermelon rind is that it contains citrulline. And watermelon is one of the highest sources of citrulline. If you want energy, you want to eat citrulline. Citrulline gets converted into arginine, which is an amino acid in our bodies. And arginine gets converted into nitric oxide, which is a vasodilator, meaning it helps to widen blood vessels and improve blood flow, which is beneficial for people who have erectile dysfunction or other circulation problems. In fact, erectile dysfunction is often the first sign you have other serious circulation issues. Citrulline has shown to reduce muscle fatigue, improve exercise endurance, improve exercise performance, and it's thought to do it because it increases the production of adenosine triphosphate. It also reduces the buildup of lactic acid. Citrulline is also an important regulator to prevent the toxic buildup of ammonia, which our bodies make as a byproduct of protein metabolism. Ammonia is harmful to our body and brain. And if you've ever used Windex, you've been exposed to ammonia. That stuff doesn't belong in our body, and we really shouldn't have it build up. You know how when you stay in the sun too long, your skin becomes a bright, shiny red? That's called a sunburn, and that's bad. And that's a bad sign that there's DNA damage for people. But you want to get a sunburned, red, juicy watermelon. They are the sweetest. But unlike watermelon, it's important for people to stay covered up from the sun. Not all sunlight is equal, and we do need to get some sunlight daily so that we can stimulate our immune system, our nervous system, and make hormones like melatonin and vitamin D. Now, I'm sure you've been told to wear a sunblock because excessive sun exposure can lead to sunburns, premature aging, and increases your risk of skin cancer. But when you wear sunblock, you make less vitamin D. And really, the amount of time that you can spend in the sun really differs between where you live, whether you're near the equator or high up in the mountains, and where the sun is in relation to the earth. But no matter where you live, the best time to get sunlight is really early in the morning when the sun is close to the earth, or late in the evening when the sun is also close to the earth. By targeting those times to get sun, you avoid the harmful ultraviolet A rays that damage and penetrate through your skin to cause DNA mutations. Now, the sun has several forms of energy or different wavelengths of light. There's visible light, what we need to see, and that influences our mood, our sleep and wake cycle, and our circadian rhythm. That also influences our blood sugar control. And this is why it's important that we make an effort to go outside first thing in the morning for about at least 30 minutes, if not an hour after you wake up. There's also infrared light that stimulates your immune system and nervous system and helps with wound healing, pain relief, mood, eliminating toxins, and skin health. I actually prefer cloudy days, but there's less infrared light on those days. Now, the best time to get sunlight is in the early mornings or late evenings when the sun is still out. And midday sun is the most harmful when the sun is directly overhead. That's when you need your sunblock. But there are more ways in which we can avoid skin cancer that goes beyond wearing sunblock, and that's through our food and nutrition. And by the way, not all sunblocks are equally effective or equally safe, but that's for another video. The purpose of the sunblock is to block ultraviolet rays from the sun. There's actually 3 types of ultraviolet waves that the sun gives off: ultraviolet A rays, ultraviolet B rays, and ultraviolet C rays. C waves are basically absorbed by the Earth's atmosphere, so we don't have to worry about that. B is best, as that's what we need to make D, vitamin D. However, too much of it can cause sunburns and skin cancers and aging as well. Now, the UVA rays is the aging wavelength that causes premature skin aging and DNA damage to cause cancer. So we want to avoid UVA rays. And the closer you are to the equator or the higher in altitude you are to the sun, you will get more UV light. And if you're watermelon, this is great. But we're not watermelon, so we need to avoid that UV light, whether it's from the sun or sun tanning salons. Now, the time in which we are most susceptible to the long-term health effects of these UV radiation is when we are growing children. So it's really important to protect your kids from getting sunburned. Now, notice how these 2 watermelons, they look very different. One is oval and the other one is round. Most supermarket watermelons are round because that's what customers prefer. These are two different species of watermelons, and when I pick them, I actually look at what they're supposed to look like amongst their buddies in the watermelon bin. So if there's an oval watermelon amongst round ones, they've either misplaced that fruit or it's a misfit. And I'm always suspicious that misfits may not taste as good. Now, there are 5 S's. First is the sunspot. We talked about that. The second is the supersize and symmetry. Now, I don't bother checking the rest of the watermelon until I find the largest one in the lot. And in general, I'm moving it around to see how heavy it is because I want the heaviest watermelon. That means it's juicy. I'm also looking for symmetry at the same time because I want a watermelon that has a uniform size, a uniform color, a deep green color. Light green stripes or patches, they can be normal, but they should be evenly distributed and it should look like the other ones in the lot. Of course, it all depends on the variety. Watermelons are really a form of cucumbers on steroids, and in fact, they are related to cucumbers. And even though we think of cucumbers being a salad vegetable, it's really a fruit. Technically, lots of things should be classified as a fruit if they have seeds inside. Like tomatoes, they're really fruits, but they're considered vegetables because, well, our government, they just don't appreciate the details in science. Like a cucumber, there should be a stem. But unlike the cucumber, the watermelon stem should be shriveled up and indented. If the stem is still attached, it should be dry and brown. Now, the opposite end is called the blossom end, which should give slightly when you press it, indicating ripeness. You know how as we age, our skin gets dull and dry? Well, the same thing happens as a watermelon ripens. It should be dull, not shiny. A shiny surface indicates that that fruit is underripe. Think of a teenager and how they have shiny skin. And you know how when you go in the sun, you get more freckles? Well, watermelons can also freckle in the sun. They're called sugar spots, small dark spots on the skin, which indicates that they have concentrated the sugar. So as I roll around these watermelons, I'm touching the skin and it should be firm all over. If it's well hydrated, when I poke the skin, it won't give and it won't indent. It's like feeling your muscles versus feeling your tummy. You want the feeling of a big muscle, like the biceps of Arnold Schwarzenegger. Now, I've never felt his biceps, but I imagine it doesn't give. Soft spots are a sign of dehydration. It's like looking at people for signs of dehydration. If a person is dehydrated, their mouth and tongue will be dry, their lips will be chapped, and their skin will tent. You'll be able to tug on the skin and it won't bounce right back. It'll stay there for a while and they'll probably also look pale. So I'm looking for the opposite physical exam in a watermelon, where the skin is firm. And when I push it, it's not going to give. Now, throughout the years, I've made that mistake. I bought watermelon, which the skin indented when I pushed it, and I've regretted it. Now, the last S is sound and solid. I'm looking for a watermelon that produces a deep, hollow sound, and that's also solid. It indicates that it's heavy, full of water. You know how when you tap your chest, it's hollow because it's full of air, as opposed to tapping your muscles. Your muscles are full of water, so it produces a deeper sound, and that's what I'm trying to replicate in a watermelon. Now, oftentimes as I'm rolling it, I don't have to pick it up to know it's heavy, because just trying to push that giant boulder is enough to tell me if the fruit is dense and full of water. So I applied these 5 rules to pick these 2 watermelons. Now, one again is seeded and the other one is seedless. And for each of these watermelons, I followed the same rules to pick the sweetest, juiciest, and crunchiest ones. Now, here I have an oval and round watermelon. The oval one is seeded and the round one is seedless. So I'm going to open the watermelon and it turns out to be the pink variety. Now, this color is made out of lycopene, a carotenoid pigment, basically a form of vitamin A. This watermelon is classically sweet and the skin has a hint of a cucumber-like taste because it's related to the cucumber. Personally, I don't like eating the skin. I just actually eat the red and juicy sweet part. Now, you probably have heard of lycopene because it's a phytonutrient found in tomatoes. Lycopene is a powerful antioxidant which helps to neutralize free radicals in your body. Now, free radicals can not only damage DNA, but other cellular structures, and this can increase the risk of cancer. So by reducing oxidative stress, lycopene basically protects your cells. And in fact, people are studying lycopene and its ability to inhibit the growth of prostate, breast, and lung cancer cells. And this is why I go out of my way to look for lycopene-rich foods. Now, another perk about watermelon is that it has a special amino acid called citrulline in both the flesh and the rind. Citrulline is converted into arginine in the body, which is a precursor to nitric oxide. Nitric oxide helps to relax and dilate blood vessels, improving blood flow and reducing blood pressure. Improving blood flow can enhance oxygen and nutrient delivery to muscles during exercise, as well as potentially improving performance and reducing muscle fatigue. And this is actually important for athletes, but it really should be important for all of us because we all use our muscles every day. Have you ever had sore muscles? Well, studies have shown that citrulline can help reduce muscle soreness after intense exercise. And this can be particularly beneficial for everyone. And we all need blood circulation everywhere. And in fact, the smallest organs, they get affected first when we have poor blood circulation. This often presents as impotence. Impotence is actually a sign of elevated cardiovascular risk and poor outcome. But you can actually reverse that pathology and lower your cardiovascular risk by eating more plants to improve your blood circulation and reduce your blood pressure. And this includes eating watermelon. And this is another reason to get yellow watermelon, which has higher levels of citrulline than red watermelon. A watermelon's citrulline content varies by color, with yellow watermelon having the highest, then orange, and last, red color. Specifically, yellow watermelons have 3.5 milligrams of citrulline per gram of flesh, whereas the red watermelon has around 1 milligrams per gram of flesh. I've actually never found an orange watermelon. I would love to taste it. But yellow watermelon, in general, it's considered to be sweeter than red watermelon with a honey apricot-like flavor. It's more tropically flavored. Personally, the yellow watermelons I've eaten are less crispy than red watermelons. And to me, I really like my red watermelon, but I haven't eaten that many yellow watermelons in my life. Yellow watermelons do have more beta carotene because of that yellow rich color. On the internet, there's so many ways to eat watermelon. Some people just drink it. I've seen it made into sushi or fruit leather. Honestly, I prefer my watermelon plain and raw. I actually don't like it with other fruits. I don't like it in desserts or pickled. I just want a slice of crispy, juicy, unadulterated watermelon. And that will make me very happy. To me, that is a food of perfection. And if it was nutritious, I would eat the whole thing all day. But then what happens is you get stuck on the toilet because I used to do that. My dad would just cut half of the watermelon and give me the entire half to eat. But when you do that, you're basically unable to eat other foods because you're so full of water. Watermelon is also not a high protein food, and that's why I try to buy my watermelons seeded. The seeds are a good source of protein. It has actually 8 grams of protein per ounce. They also contain healthy fats, a mixture of polyunsaturated and monounsaturated fats, and they're low in carbs. Basically, the carbs is all in the flesh of the watermelon. The seeds are also a good source of B vitamins, including vitamin B3, niacin, as well as folic acid and pantothenic acid. And these are all essential for your immune health and your energy production. And strategically, vitamin E is there to protect the seed from oxidative damage. So when you eat these seeds, you also get the protection. The seeds are rich in magnesium, which 50% of Americans don't eat enough of. And magnesium is essential for nerve and muscle function, as well as blood sugar control. And vitamin D. A 1-ounce serving of watermelon seeds has 140% of the recommended daily magnesium intake. They're also a good source of zinc. Zinc is super important for cellular repair, for DNA replication, as well as immune function and wound healing. Did I mention that seeds are a good source of phosphorus, important for bones and teeth? Asians actually eat watermelon seeds alone, but I wouldn't advise that because you'll break your teeth. I think my mom broke several teeth eating watermelon seeds. So I prefer to just chew fresh seeds inside the watermelons. Now remember that when you eat fruit, despite its sweetness, the more fruit you eat, the better your blood sugar and cholesterol levels will be. And if you want to learn more about that, check out the next video.